What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and to another Overwatch League news video. In today's episode, we have some Boston Uprising news as Valentine and Faith from WGS Phoenix have been signed to the roster. Finally, some good news for some Boston fans. I promised all of you that there would be an individual news video at some point in the future for you guys, and the day has finally come, so get pumped. These two signings were leaked a couple of months ago, but we were kind of just waiting on Boston to finally make it official. We knew they were going to come out with it at some point, we just didn't know when. They kind of just took their sweet time. I wouldn't be surprised if they waited till February on purpose just because, you know, Valentine's Day. It makes way too much sense. These two coming on board also makes a lot of sense in general because, like I already said, they're both from WGS Phoenix. That's where their new head coach Lori is from, and I would be surprised if he didn't want to have more of his former players on the Boston Uprising alongside him. Of course, he already had I'm 37 to begin with, but the more the merrier in this type of situation. This isn't really the first time we've seen something like this happen where a coach has certain players follow him to an Overwatch League team. We recently had it with Rush and how Sparkle, Exy, and Hanbin followed him to Paris, and I guess Dallas now technically. Then you have Kuki, who managed to bring both Gangnam Jin and Yaki with him to Florida. This is the way to do it, I really do think so, because you already know what these players are capable of, you know how good they can be under you, and they're only going to get better as they face better competition now, you'd have to imagine. Boston's doing the right thing for once, and to be honest, I'm pretty proud of them for that. But now let's talk about the individual players, because that is of course what this video is mainly about, and I'm sure some of you want to get to know these guys a little bit better, especially for those of you who don't pay too much attention to Overwatch contenders. Let us begin with the more noticeable pickup in most people's eyes, and that of course would be the Flex DPS player Valentine. This 17-year-old Flex DPS player is set to turn 18 on, well, Valentine's Day, hence why he chose the name Valentine. Since joining WGS Phoenix back in May of 2020, the team has posted some rather consistent results, including a 3rd place finish in Season 1 of 2020 Korean Contenders and a 1st place finish in Season 2. Valentine tends to thrive under the projectile role, and more specifically has made a name for himself on the Echo, who a lot of people consider to be one of the better Echo players from Korean Contenders. Whether WGS would be playing on an Echo-centric map, or they really just wanted that character as part of their game plan in general, you already knew that Valentine was going to be in the lineup, and to be honest, he thrived under that role of being an Echo specialist / Flex DPS for his team. But don't be fooled, Valentine can play other characters just fine, like your Doomfist, Pharah, Genji, even Reaper. Valentine's going to make for a really good option, and definitely a better starting caliber player compared to Colorhex. No offense to him, but Valentine's simply on a different level, and he has a way higher ceiling. I wouldn't be surprised if Colorhex remains benched for pretty much this entire year, and he basically gets no playtime, because I see no reason why Valentine would ever not play over him. What really excites me is how young he is. I mean, he's literally just turning 18 this month, so he's still technically kind of raw, and he has a lot of untapped potential that Lori might be able to continue to unleash as we've seen in Contenders previously. If it's anything like their Contenders days, then I'm expecting both Valentine and I'm 37 to play off each other rather well and be a really nice 1-2 punch. And I would say in general, their rotation is looking rather solid. Those two plus Soon, I think that gives you a lot of coverage. Valentine's got your Echo and projectile needs, Soon can play Tracer and sniper heroes if needed, maybe for like a double sniper meta. Then I'm 37 kind of covers your traditional hit scans like your Widowmaker and your Ashe and your McCree and all of that. I don't know if it's necessarily a top tier rotation given how stacked some of the other ones are in the league, but still really good nonetheless, and I think it should serve as a strong point for the Uprising this year. Now switching gears over to Faith, he's a bit older, he's 19, no need to worry about age restrictions or him being too young or anything like that, but it's worth noting he did join this team a little bit after Valentine did. He joined right when WGS Phoenix finally started to hit their stride and hit their peak, if you will, when they finished 1st place in Season 2 of Korean Contenders. And to be honest, from what I've seen, people are a bit less excited about this one compared to somebody like I'm 37 or Valentine joining the team, and to be honest, I completely get it after watching some of the film. It's not necessarily that Faith is a bad player or anything like that, it kind of just felt like there were better options on the open market for Boston to potentially be looking at, like Toby or Sanguinar, just to name a couple. It kind of feels like Boston may be selling themselves short a little bit here, but at the same time, I totally understand why he's on the roster. As I've already talked about, he was part of that WGS team, and Lori probably really likes him, so he wants to bring him along. With him appearing to be the only main support on the roster for the upcoming year, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, and that is something to maybe be concerned about. But to be honest, I kind of view him in a similar light to Friday, aka the NYXL's new main support rookie. because he doesn't have to be amazing, you know? He just has to get the job done. He needs to be satisfactory, if you will. He's just got to be able to be a reliable partner for his flex support, aka Myungbong. Then he's got to stay out of trouble, maybe be a good enough communicator, and there you go. He doesn't need to be anything absolutely insane. I don't think his team needs him to be that good. The main stars of the show are probably going to be at flex support and maybe like DPS or something like that, so he doesn't need to be a star player in his own right. He just needs to be a good supporting cast member. It would be different if Boston was trying to compete for a title this year, but clearly they're not. They're just trying to get out of basement dweller status for once in their lives. They want to just be a decent team, a competitive team, and I think that Faith could be good enough to deliver that. In terms of his hero pool, he's played a little bit of everything throughout his career as far as I know. He's played some Lucio, some Mercy, some Brig, all the typical main support characters. So that's how I'm kind of feeling about Valentine and Faith joining the team. I think that Valentine could be a pretty solid pickup and that Faith could be a good player, but I'm not too sure what he's capable of just yet. But before I end the video, there's one other name I want to bring to your attention for those of you who don't avidly watch Contenders. Remember the name GaeBullSsi. He was recently the off-tank player out of WGS, and while he didn't join the Boston Uprising's Overwatch League team, he did join their Academy team, and if I had to put money on it, I am willing to guarantee that at some point during this year, whether it be at the beginning or sometime at mid-season, that he will be promoted to the Overwatch League team. A lot of people are amazed he's not already in the Overwatch League because he's that promising of a prospect. He is an insanely good young off-tank player who is very well-rounded and explosive as well. I would not be surprised by, at the beginning of the year even, that Punk is considered to be unsatisfactory for Boston and they decide to promote GaeBullSsi in his place because he has a better ceiling overall and he has that WGS Phoenix connection. Don't forget that man's name, ladies and gentlemen. Do not forget it. So Boston's roster looks like it's basically done. Maybe one or two other things happen, but that's pretty much it, you'd have to imagine. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how Boston did this offseason. They got a couple of good veterans like Soon, and then they also got Stand One, of course. Then they added some good pieces out of Contenders and a really solid coach too. This is it, Boston fans. You actually do have reason to feel at least a little bit excited this year because this team actually seems like they might not be one of the bottom teams in the league for once. I can't guarantee they're going to be amazing, but they could at least be like good or average, and that's a lot better than how they've done in the last few years, so I'm sure any of my Boston fans out there would gladly take that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that basically does it for me. So what do you think of Valentine and Faith joining the Boston Uprising? And what do you think of Boston's roster as a whole in general? Let me know down in the comment section. If you enjoyed this Overwatch League news video and you want to keep up with all things news related, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And as always, thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate your support a lot. And until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.